How's everyone doing? Welcome to the final episode of After the After Hours with your boy TraderPrad. The final day of this week. Is tomorrow going to be a free fall Friday? Now get ready for tomorrow. Powell going on the microphone. Powell going on the microphone again. Get ready for tomorrow. So I do have a watch list ready, but if you guys are ready, hit that like and subscribe. Hit that like and subscribe. Thank you guys for all the love. Thank you guys for all the support. Started. Why don't we dive into the full screen and hit that like and subscribe. Yo, what's up, gang? How's everyone doing? Oh, we're directly to the full screen today. I guess we might as well be here. I was just looking at some of the hot trending news going on in the market or you know, out there in the world in general. Looks like we got Ben Simmons now going to the LA Clippers. Clippers buying out his contract from the Brooklyn Nets, and now he's in official LA Clippers player. So not that news that matters at all, but here's some of the news that you know, I was kind of interested in, which is apparently Elon Musk giving OpenAI a $97 billion bid. So I want to read more about that. I have that open over here. Apparently Sam Altman, who's the current CEO of OpenAI, there's a whole battle between why Elon Musk wants to buy out OpenAI. Apparently Mark Zuckerberg now is also you know, supporting the claim of OpenAI needing to be private, because it opens up apparently a loophole where companies can pretend to be non-profit, and then eventually, once they start making money, say that, hey, we actually now want to be for profit, and kind of game the system that way, and the funding and so on, which should not be able to be so easily done. And OpenAI is going to open up that processes apparently. So Musk coming in, putting in a bid to rebuy OpenAI. He first created it, then he sold out of his stake, and then he now wants to rebuy it back for more than what he originally paid for it, and take it out of Sam Altman's control and turn it into or keep it a non-profit company, I guess. So we'll see how that one plays out. Astera Labs, ALAB, reporting earnings today. Looks like triumph or market misread. Looks like stock actually did well, but market might have dumped the position. Something to take a look at. And then Palantir CEOs asked me anything, apparently sparking a debate about the stock's valuation. So I'll read about those couple articles on my own time later on. But as I usually do in these streams. I talk about my trades on the day, but sadly, no trades for me to talk about. I did not trade today. My setups did not work. Not work. They did not set up. So I just, every time I was checking for any play, any setup, nothing was there for me today. However, there were some really good trades. I could have invented trades and taken advantage of it, such as SMCI, that VWAP continuation dip over there. You know, you could have really invented trades and taken advantage of the market today if you were looking for it. But that's not something I want to do, which is, I've said that about start of this month or at the end of last month, which is I want to stick to my setups, my playbooks, and only trade my playbooks. Will I have FOMO watching SMCI being up 17% today? Yes. I don't care. I'm not looking to gamble anymore and just randomly take positions. Why did that play out on that? Be on default, not that out loud. What the hell? Yes. Okay. So big opportunities on the board today, no matter what. You got Baba, Cleveland Cliffs, some of the names today on the aluminum, metals, steel. They rocked up to the north side after Trump said 25% tariffs. Trump also said no tariffs on stock or price under $800 products from China. So Baba, Pinduoduo, Temu, a big advantage for Temu over there. It's a big advantage for PDD, ACHR, drone companies taking a little bit of a move to the north side. If Elon Musk is looking to buy OpenAI, then he's going to take some of that money from Tesla. So Tesla on watch for some downside, if that is potentially how it's going to play out. Palantir keeps on going to the north side, another new all-time high on Palantir. WDC going up to the north side. ON reporting earnings and dropping a little bit. So this was kind of the 30-second market review, as Centerpoint calls it. Go check out Centerpoint's website. But on the earnings board, we didn't really have too many names reporting earnings today. You had McDonald's, maybe some trades on McDonald's, sure. ON seems to have given you some opportunities, but besides that, nothing too exciting. Tomorrow pre-market, things get a little fun with Shopify, Coca-Cola. For sure, taking a look at Shopify for some trade opportunities. If I remember correctly, Shopify should be at all-time high or pretty close to it. Maybe not. Okay, yeah, pretty close to it. So pretty close to all-time high over here on Shopify. 52-week high nevertheless is what we're playing around with. And with stock reporting earnings tomorrow, this should also be on the Canadian side if you want to trade it on the TSX market, where the shorts should be free. Not that the American market has shorts that you have to pay for, but in case you do, then TSX side you can trade this where the shorts should be free, and at least for my broker maybe. So I'm interested to see how I can take advantage of the stock tomorrow, either on the Canadian market or on the American market. Liquidity, however, obviously much better on, why did I type TSM? SHOP. Liquidity obviously much better on the American side. From what I remember, 6.77 million shares traded averagely on the American on the 30-day average, and 1 million shares traded on average on the Canadian. So obviously much more liquidity on the American markets. TraderPrad is in the building. Let's go. Long time. Yes, Jude Fernando. Long time indeed. How have you been? Hopefully the markets have been treating you great. Still resilient for the QQQ. Still resilient for the S&P 500. If I remember correctly, SPY was up 0.6 today, and QQQ was up 1% or something. 1.2. Yeah, 1.2. So pretty good green day across the board. Obviously, if you're long on the market, you're enjoying it, and hopefully you're still holding on to Palantir. I might, be a loser on Palantir because I don't have it anymore, but at least you do for me, and I get to live through you vicariously. So shout out to you, and shout out to Palantir. coming back to the watch list today to talk about. Today's stream is going to be a much shorter than usually 1 hour stream that we have, because I don't have any trades to talk about. I don't have any trades today that I traded, so we're just gonna straight up dive into the stocks that we care about tomorrow and spend some good time on looking at those. So today, mostly caring about stocks that are reported after hours. Only one really that I care about that reported after hours, ALAB. We'll also take a look at some of the stocks that reported this week, some of the stocks that reported last week, and also Coca-Cola and Shopify, because they report tomorrow pre-market, SMCI, and some of the other names that have been moving around based on news. Maybe I should add BABA to my watch list. I don't have BABA in there. And if I'm adding BABA, I might as well add PDD and FXI on my watch list. So let me just quickly throw those bad boys up on there. WDC up 7%, it said. I mean, okay, that's not a bad bump. ON's already on the watch list. ACHR, okay, that's a nice volume increase also, so potentially worth keeping an eye on. CLF and other metal names clearly made a day one move off of tariffs today, so potentially having some sort of a day two move, so worth keeping these ones on the board too. I'll just throw CLF on the watch list for myself for tomorrow. Here are the stocks that were basically in play today. You had about 104 stocks in play today. In play meaning they had a relative volume of more than 2 on the 5 minutes. They had about an average volume. Well, let's reset this for the day, maybe 1 day. So this is kind of what really only relative volume of okay, manual setup. Let's do 1.5 on the day. Rocket Lab was in play today. Ooh, okay. Lyft was in play. BP, Pinterest, Xpeng, ASTS, ACHR. Okay. Manual setup, and I want this reset back to the 5 minute and change this to 2. So these are basically the in-play names today. ASTS, ACHR, RKLB. Looks like the space sector is waking up again, huh? The space sector might be something to keep an eye on. Let me just go back to my big watch list of everything in it. And in that, where space is indeed up quite nicely today, along with a little bit of finance. Travel's down, energy is mixed, defense kind of flat, extras, this is the tariffs. Maybe I need to make a metals and put a bunch of CLFs and everything in there. Here's the Chinese, here's the robotics. Robotics are kind of in a bunch of people watch lists on Twitter, so potentially worth keeping an eye on the robotics sector also. And obviously the Mag 7, always worth keeping an eye on. All right, so let's start off with the earnings board. The earnings board tonight is only one stock that I really care about. Reading its reading its EPS and revenue. For that, I'm going to use this awesome tool known as Benzinga. If you're interested in Benzinga, check the link out below in the description. Astera Labs reported fourth quarter revenue 141 million versus 127.98 million estimates. Reporting 37 cents per share, beating 26 cents per share. Supplier of connectivity solutions for tech giants including Nvidia. Total revenue up 179% year over year. That's monstrous. And up 25% quarter over quarter. Gross margin came in at 74%. Company ended the quarter at 79.55 million in cash and cash equivalents. The revenue growth in 2024 was largely driven by whatever those products are and modules for Ethernet coming shortly in Q4. Jitender, we expect 2025 to be a breakout year as we enter a new phase of growth driven by revenue from all 4 of our product families to support a diverse set of customers and platforms. This includes our flagship Scorpio Fabric products for head node PCIe connectivity and backend AI accelerator scale-up clustering. Okay, Astera Labs expects first quarter revenue to be in the range of 151 million to 155 versus 134. Expects EPS to be 28 to 29. Estimates are not given for EPS. Management will hold a conference call, blah, 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 blah. However, at the time of the report, stock dropped by 4.5%, probably a little bit more going into after hours. Nope, kind of just hung out around today's low, or also Friday's low. Didn't really do too much, but that's pretty weird. Looks like, 100 and what was it? 179% year growth year to year is kind of insane to see the stock not get rocked up to the north side. They're also guiding higher revenue for the next quarter than expected, so I'm just at a little bit of a loss for words. If you ask me, I'm expecting the stock to have buying tomorrow and just bounce off, currently bouncing off the trend line a little bit, but expecting the stock to not have any weakness really and look for a move up to the north side. The previous earnings anchored VWAP is where it is kind of finding resistance around the 110 area, but not expecting that to stay that way for too long, and the stock to actually be able to get above this area. So a little confused as to why Astera Labs is behaving the way it is, but this is also has happened with ARM, which reported recently. ARM reported, got slammed to the downside, and then got bought right back up the next day. There were a bunch of other stocks that did the exact same thing, such as ELF reported and then got bought up on the very next day. Bill, for example, reported somewhat okay and then got bought up on the next day. So expecting the stock to have buying opportunities for us to get long into, but if we start breaking this trend line, potentially some downside opening up where you want to be careful fighting the long, right? Just because they showed 179% growth year over year doesn't make them an automatic buy. Let's actually take a look at if they have PE shown on Finviz. Do they have a PE yet? They don't, but their forward PE is 58, so maybe just about to start, actually making some real money. And forward PE though 58, it's not that high, but it is in red. I go off of just by if this is in red or not. Usually anything over 30 or 40 I think is in the red color, so forward PE 58 and the red is showing you that it is a little bit expensive. But you can also go take a look at, hey, Carvana, go take a look at Palantir, and you'll see those numbers are much higher, right? So sometimes PE ratios are just not even they don't even matter. It's it's all about who wants to buy the stock, how much money are they willing to put behind the name, and push it around, right? So watching how this stock sets up tomorrow, potentially a mid-tier priority, not a high priority tomorrow. I think Tesla, Nvidia will take the higher priority names for the rest of the week over here, unless some big earnings names. Actually, Spotify is something to keep an eye out for tomorrow. That's going to be a pretty high priority for me. Where is my web page? There you go. Shopify, not Spotify. Shopify is going to be a pretty high priority for me to trade tomorrow. SMCI is another one. So based on priority tiers, A-Lab might just not even be up there, but it is not completely disregarded either, not completely discredited either. SMCI looking like it wants to get ready to go back into the $100-$200 areas, which would basically mean that the stock is back into the $1,000 prices pre-split. So going back into the $100 area would mean that it is back into a $1,000 area before it split to the downside. Well, it split and then it was already going to the downside pre-split, so their split got kind of cut in half over there. Poor SMCI. But today, as the stock did announce that they are going to be having some potential good news on February 11th and February 15th also. So we'll be waiting patiently. You know, this could be by the rumor, and then tomorrow when the stock actually reports after hours, you might see sell the news, especially if the stock doesn't do what people are expecting it to do. If they don't report their 10Q, their 10K, you know, things are going to be looking very, very bad. This might just drop into a $2 price. Maybe I'm over exaggerating by saying that, but that's what I want to emphasize on by over exaggerating. It's like this stock could really get hurt tomorrow if they are not doing what people are expecting it to do, and they come out with a big surprise. So lots of question marks still on SMCI. How legitimate are they? They're not 100% fraud, but how much of them are fraud, right? How much of them did actually cook the books and lie about the growth and everything, which they've previously been known to do. So lots of questions over here will be answered tomorrow, and I think February 15th is also a very important date. So watching both of these dates very closely. As for intraday trader, you know, today was a monster move on SMCI. We'll be watching to see if today's VWAP ends up being some sort of a dip buy opportunity right around $40. That's a nice even $1.40. So we'll be watching to see if 40 comes into some dip buy opportunities, and then we get to trade between $40 to $45, or even whatever today's high is, 43. Potentially, if 40 holds, I won't be surprised if the stock goes into $44, $45 area, and then kind of get ready for the earnings pump it up, pump it up. We'll see if the earnings pump actually comes into play. Palantir, big name on the watch, obviously. I want to go check what the GEX levels are for Palantir. These are the gamma exposure levels. Let me just change this over here to Palantir. That music feels loud. So 120 is a big call level for the expiry that's coming up on this Friday, and that's very important because as we push closer and closer to 120, the options writer who wrote these calls, and if they are not hedged already against this position, they are going to start buying shares aggressively the closer we get to 120 and the longer we spent above 120. For example, right now we're above 115. Any call writer who is offering that 119 call option and isn't already having shares of Palantir above potentially below 115, so they're actually not taking the damage over there. If they don't have it already, they're gonna have to start buying some shares in the above 115 area just so they can be delta neutral. And when the calls get exercised, they're gonna have to give them those shares which they had to buy over here and kind of take a little bit of a hit on that side too. So if this stock starts to push into 120 and starts spending some time above 120, that could be a little bit more juice of that options buying coming into play. You get more zero DTE gamblers coming into play and all kinds of fun. Obviously, there's a little bit of a room for 120 to come into play, but with this stock's ATR now much higher than what I previously remember it to be, $6 ATR on Palantir now. Okay, if that's the case, then yes, it's very, very close into that 120 area, which could actually come into play tomorrow or Wednesday. So watch how 120 comes into play. Potentially you will see a big seller at 120 first, and if 120 then runs through that seller, you'll see some options buying coming into play and some fun liquidity for us to play with. So far, Palantir is very much setting into that move, as I said, as MSTR, right? This move where MSTR started getting blasted off into the stratosphere, that is exactly where Palantir is at right now. It's about to get blasted off into the stratosphere, go above 120. My ideal situation for this will be by the end of the week we are in 130, 140, and this gives you an insane mean reversion short back into $100 on Palantir. So watching how Palantir sets up, not really looking for breakout longs, but you know, if it's bullish and clearly the stock is finding buying above 110, if we are longer we spend above 115, as I just showed you this 115 level, the longer we spend above 115, the more juicy the longs keep getting and the shorts keep getting burnt. Anyone who's shorting this area, I don't know why you would be at the moment, but if you are short in this area, you know, you are in pain. You're going to have to ask a question, or you're going to be asked a question by the stock, which is, where is your stop? So far all of those answers have been answered. You know, that was a stop, busted. That was a stop, busted. That was a stop, busted. So stop buster is at the moment in full force, just busting stops, hunting stops for the short side. So you know, I'm still patient. I'm still patient. I think the stock could go a little bit more ballistic, a little bit more parabolic, a little bit more euphoria comes into it, and then you know, we could really see it capitulate and then look for a nice short momentum to the downside. At the moment, don't fight the crazies. You know, Palantir, I've been in that what do you call it, in the cult, for the Palantir cult. I'm sadly no longer in it, so I guess that's why I'm looking for the shorts on it. But basically just looking at the chart, looking at the evaluation, yes, the company's making a ton of money, but I just don't think it's going to be sustained with the amount, with the way it's going. But if it's going up sustained in a you know, it pulls back, finds support, goes higher, pulls back, finds support, goes higher, if it keeps doing that successfully, then yes, I'm more than happy with looking for more upside on it. But with the way it's going now, I think it's eventually going to look for a big downside. Palantir hotline, this is hilarious. Not affiliated with Palantir Technologies, financial advice or endorsement, position in Palantir and AMD. This guy looks like this is my positions back in the day. That's hilarious. Okay, anyways, Palantir is now seen as stock surge 73% in the past month, reaching all-time highs. What did the CEO say? Is holding a live Ask Me Anything on Wednesday, February 12th at, okay, so that's tomorrow, sorry, Wednesday, February 12th at 12 p.m. EST. So potentially keeping this one on watch going into the Ask Me Anything. So where do I subscribe to the Ask Me Anything? I guess this should be on Twitter, or it should be on Palantir website. Okay, a little bit of a Palantir hype going into that news catalyst. I wouldn't say that news catalyst alone is driving the stock to the high side. They recently reported good earnings report, so that's got to be one of the reasons too. And now we're just waiting to see how it behaves on dips. I am more than happy to look for long on dips on this name, but what I am not looking to do is take the breakout longs at all. I think that's how you open up yourself for some pain, because this stock is in crazy la la land evaluations. Okay, just impossible for me to look for a long on the breakout. Okay, now let's take a look at Elf Beauty. So Elf Beauty on the earnings day is exactly what today's high is. Looks like the stock could, if you ignore all the previous chart, and look at this little, I guess I said ignore it, and just look at the earnings move and today's move. The stock basically looks like a 3-bar play going into a potential breakout tomorrow. So if the stock gets above today's high, I would say it's what, $74, $73.86 exactly. So if the stock gets above 74 and stays above 74 on any dips, I think it's almost a no-brainer long over there on Elf Beauty. So I'm just going to put an under over 74 in my notes for that bad boy. And for SMCI, look for dips into 40 to hold. This is yesterday's VWAP. Okay, and that is for SMCI, and that is for ELF. Okay, next one on my watch list is McDonald's. Let's go to earnings reports again. MCD, nice little pop to the north side on ER itself, but the stock is like a boomer name. It doesn't really move, so I'm not too excited. Looks like they actually missed on EPS and on revenue and still gapped up to the north side, almost inches away from all-time high again for McDonald's. But you know, if you're not beating EPS and revenue, Are you actually growing? And if you're not growing, why did you pop the way you did? So might have to look into a little bit on the McDonald's earnings report. Why did I say so weirdly on the McDonald's earnings report? But just off of the chart, you know, I'm not too excited to even look for a trade tomorrow on this bad boy. It'll be on the back burner, but I'm just not too excited. If the earnings day wasn't like a blockbuster move, I'm just not too interested. MNDY Monday.com. How do you look on the daily? Let's go take a look at you on the daily first. Ooh, is that an all-time high? Not really. Okay, not as exciting as previously thought, but still a new 52-week high. Liquidity is on a 30-day average. You're looking at 1.2 million, but today you brought in 6 million. Looks like you actually started off the day with a dip, a gap given go setup potentially. Let's take a look at if it did. Somewhat of a gap, but you know, a little bit of a gap given go setup, I guess. I'm not really seeing too much. It's very similar to not Costco. What stock did I just take a look at? McDonald's. Very similar to McDonald's. It's the same price point at McDonald's, the same liquidity as McDonald's. Just doesn't get me too excited to look for a trade opportunity on this one tomorrow. ON on reported earnings and plummeting to the downside, creating a new 52-week low. Not looking good over there. Still above the IPO high, which is good. Going into what seems to be 2022 lows or below 2022 lows. So that's 2022 low right there, was it? 44.76. Yes, that's 2022 lows, and we are just now pushing into that area, kind of triggering just slightly below that off the earnings report, and you can see how there's a little bit of a zone for the stock to play with over here, right? So yesterday's low and that 2022 low is where the stock is kind of playing within. You got a clear resistance over here. You got some sort of a buyer potentially here who's currently buying a little bit higher. But, you know, I'm expecting this buyer to crack tomorrow most likely, and the stock to start pushing right back into this after hour low. All of this depends on how bearish the earnings report actually is. Just looking at the chart, just looking at the way the stock is moving, you know, you got Nvidia going into a new range again above 130. You got SMCI running into 40. You got AMD running to the north side, and then you got ON over here, you know, dropping into a new 52-week low. So things are clearly not looking good for them. And if I'm to bet, if I'm to guess, you know, I'm expecting more downside, especially on pops. I would love to look for shorts on ON. It will be on the watch list. 50? Well, do I think it goes to 50 tomorrow? Probably not. I don't think it goes to 50 tomorrow. 48 is potentially is the inflection area, but 50 is for sure the resistance. Yesterday's low is 50.50, so I'll put that as a resistance area to keep an eye on this bad boy. All right, ON Shopify. This one reports tomorrow pre-market. So obviously talking about levels right now is not even worth it. I kind of quickly ran through Shopify for you on both of the markets, the TSX and the North American, the New York market. Obviously new 52-week high area, possibly reporting good earnings, but I might be a little biased because it is a Canadian company. So potentially, you know, watch for new ranges above on a good earnings report. Watch for the same ranges as before on a negative earnings report. If it actually gets below some of these lows over here, like 100, if it gets below 100, then you can see how much of a room it really has to the downside on a swing scale. So that opens up some real fun for the short side. But if the stock reports negative and it drops into the 110, 105, 100 area, looking looking for a breakdown short might be a little idiotic, right? Unless the stock is really finding selling below 100. Looking for a breakdown short might be idiotic, but looking for shorts on pop might be worth it, right? Or looking for a reversal long might be worth it. So all of it depends on how Shopify reports tomorrow pre-market. Coca-Cola having a little bit of a breakout right before earnings. I'll say an imperfect breakout because that's kind of the more important high. But the last week's high, last month's high, kind of, we were just above that little pocket of zone. So a little bit of a potential breakout just going into the earnings report. And if the stock reports well, I'm expecting it to start holding above what seems to be is a resistance right now at 64.50 to 64.60 area. On a good earnings report, watch for how the stock opens up much higher. And then on dips, I'm not even expecting this area to come into support if it does have a positive earnings report. But if it does blast up, as long as it's showing me buying above 64, I'm interested to look for a long. But if the stock is not able to stay above 64, then potentially only interested on the short side. So that is on Coca-Cola. NET. Oof, okay, day 2 NET blasting off after the earnings report. Day 1, nice move. Day 2, going into the day 1 anchored VWAP and bouncing off of that and giving you a little bit of opening range breakout almost. You get a nice opening range breakout right there into $172, which also happens to be right around last week's high / yesterday's high, so basically Friday's high. You get a nice breakout through there from 172 all the way into 176, and as long as the stock for me at the moment is holding above 170, I think you can continue to look long for a day 3 opportunity. Look for earnings VWAP is actually a 165.90, so if the stock actually dips into earnings VWAP and then bounces, you can look for a move into today's high or today's VWAP. But that's kind of not as exciting as a trade if 170 holds. If 170 on dip holds, I'm much more interested for a long on NET. Affirm. Ooh, watching how Affirm sets up for the next leg up. I think potentially it's very similar to NET in the chart, the 2-day chart patterns, but NET, if I remember correctly, is actually at a new all-time high, right? Oh, it's not. Okay, then it's actually very similar to Affirm in many ways. Very similar to Affirm in many ways. So watching Affirm, how it sets up as a new price target comes into play after its earnings reports. Clearly buyers are coming in. You can see how Affirm actually dips into Friday's VWAP, holds around Friday's VWAP, and then bounces above to the north side a little bit. Friday's VWAP is also where earnings VWAP kind of comes into now. So earnings VWAP is around 74.85, 75. Today's VWAP is just around, yes, Friday's high / last week's high. So ideally, you should not see the stock getting below 76. If it gets below 76, that kind of makes things really murky. But you can see how the earnings VWAP is climbing up to 75, 76 area. So I'm expecting pre-market, we spend time here, and then any dip into 76, 75 potentially gives you some dip buy opportunity for the long side as the earnings VWAP is getting caught up over there. So 75, 76 is like my bottom dollar where I want to look for a long on dips. Not really too excited to look for a breakout long. Same thing on NET. I'm not looking for a breakout long through 170 through 180, sorry, through 175 through 180. I want to look for dips. I'll let the longs break out and then see how the stock behaves on dips for a possible SMB second chance scalp, or a how do I explain what a second chance scalp is? SMCI actually had a beautiful second chance scalp today. So if you look at that little breakout of the opening range, so SMCI had an opening range breakout runs to the north side, pulls back to that breakout level. That breakout level also matches with a previous solid monthly level. So last month's high, January's high, pre-market area, intraday high, the opening range high, all of that breaking out, pulling back. Also happens to be the 5-minute VWAP on that day, which is today, holding multiple areas of confluence, multiple areas of technical levels, and then bouncing off of it. That right there is a second chance. You just got gifted a second chance to enter into that position through the market gods. And you can see how that came in with volume, and anytime a bar is colored yellow, that means that bar was twice the height of the previous bar. So that was twice the height as the previous bar, and it was also twice the volume, as you can clearly see, as the previous bar, way more than twice the volume. So buyers, as soon as it dipped into that, were aggressive. They were punching the ask, they were punching the offer and being hella aggressive, and that's when you get really long, risk that little low, and you get to, let's say you're long what, 39, and you are risking 38.50. You're risking 50 cents, and you got way more than 50 cents worth of profit over there from the SMB Capital second chance scalp setup. So something like this is what I would much rather look for above 175 on NET, above 80 on Affirm, but for the most part I want to look for dip buys on these names. FTNT, day 2 of earnings report today, inside day, could be a day 3 breakout if it actually finds some buying above 111, but the volume's going to be a little bit lower, so just keep an eye out on it. If it starts finding buying above 111 tomorrow, you might not want to be ignoring this name. It could have a little bit of a blast off to the north side. Good earnings report if I remember correctly, but I might just forget to keep an eye on this one. If I remember correctly, I might just forget to keep an eye on this one. Really sold off on that day, got back up, and now I might need to rethink my thesis. We'll see how 111 holds. If the stock is holding above 111, I think we got some move into this after hour earnings high potentially coming into play on FTNT. Pinterest, how are you doing after your earnings report? Do I even give a shit? I'll leave it on my watch list. I don't really care about Pinterest. Roblox, you had a short report after your earnings scare. You had a short report, and then the SEC came out and said that they are investigating you. This is actually something that I'm noticing that I could potentially code in my own news trading bot, which is anytime a company has a short report, within a day or two, the SEC comes out with the notice saying that they're going to investigate them. So earnings report, before the earnings report, I think somebody came out with a short report on Roblox directly, and then over here you can see how that little drop to the downside, that was SEC, they saying that, hey, we're going to investigate them, and that gave you a good short opportunity too. So I might have to keep an eye on this catalyst that I've been kind of watching it play out, but haven't really traded it. But I'm gonna have to really take advantage of it because I've seen it multiple times. Anyways, tomorrow being day 1, 2, 3, 4 of the earnings report, not really a setup. There isn't a day 4 setup, but it's on my watch list if in case I want to keep an eye out for it. QCOM 2 stuck in a range doesn't really get me excited when stocks are stuck in a range. Disney, big reject from that 52-week high. Sorry, not 52-week high. Big reject, however, from the previous range high, and potentially going back into that 106, 104 area to test support. So watching patiently to see how Disney sets up going to that area. Do I care about trading Disney? Not really. PayPal setting up with the bear flag. So potential breakdown of the bear flag might just blow through some of these zones that I have mapped out on PayPal. So watching how PayPal sets up, either a breakdown of of this bear flag or a breakout to the upside above 80. So for sure, keeping an eye on PayPal for the next few days. I think the volatility is though sadly dying down on it. Spotify, volume dying down, but the stock is continuing to go up. The only way I'm trading Spotify, sadly, is praying for a dip and seeing if it can get fills on the dip. Otherwise, there's just no way I'm trading Spotify. $600 name with only 2 million shares traded. If I want to trade a stock that expensive, I'm going to Meta. Meta with the $700 name with 16 million shares traded every day has much better liquidity, obviously compared to Meta or Tesla or Meta or Nvidia. There's better liquidity on those names, but when you're comparing Meta and Spotify, Meta is in a complete different league than Spotify. So if I want to trade aggressively, I'm going to Meta, not Spotify. End of the day, there needs to be a play, which I think is not for either of these names. I'm just not that interested at the moment to trade either of these mega caps. I need some new themes, some new catalysts to come into play for me to take advantage of these mega cap names. At the moment, Microsoft, not too exciting. Apple, let's take a look at Apple. Potential breakdown coming into Apple, but meh, not too cared about that one. Nvidia and Tesla is the only two that I really care about. Amazon, what are you looking like? Yeah, not too interested in Amazon. QQQ having an inside day. S&P 500 having an inside day. IWM having an inside day. So just boring day on the market today. Tomorrow we'll see if the market can wake up a little bit. However, some stocks on the market were not boring at all, right? SMCI, ACHR, the robotic sector is waking back up. So you want to make sure you have themes mapped out. Have a big watch list of all kinds of themes already mapped out, and make sure that you know exactly where the money is flowing in and flowing out throughout the day. CRNC on the AI sector. Okay, CRNC making a little bit of a pop. Quantum names still moving to the upside. It looks like RGTI, QMCO, LAES. Really? Okay. Some of the drone names, as I just mentioned, ACHR, JOBY not really doing anything, but PDYN, wow, okay, PDYN up 21% with decent amount of volume also. Nothing going on in the battery sector. Robotic sector, as I just mentioned, they are popping up with some volume spikes behind them. ARBE, IRBT, GFAI, that's Guard Force AI. China, obviously, China number one. The whole time Zhang Weili was beating Tatiana Suarez, I was just screaming, China number one, China number one. My friends were probably getting so annoyed. That's a nice level to keep an eye on. 42.44 on JD. So this is why I go through my watch list with you guys, because we find some amazing levels over here. So JD has a great level. If the stock breaks out with the rest of the sector moving higher, I don't know why it wouldn't be an easy long, as long as it's finding buying above 42.50, right? Easy long above 42.50. At the moment, the PDD is looking to stay above 115, 116. We'll see if that ends up being that way. FUTU looking like a good chart. Tiger might get ready for a nice breakout coming in. Baidu, QFIN, nothing going on over there. The space sector heating up again. RKLB waking up, watching how RKLB sets up for the next few days. I don't think it gets up there today. SPCE can actually go to the bottom of the space sector, honestly, because you're garbage. UFO, LUNR, space sector is waking up, ladies and gentlemen. You might want to keep an eye on it. WFC, you broke out without telling me? What the... okay, Goldman sucks. Bank of America, MasterCard, nothing going on over there. Let's go check the travel sector. Anything in the travel sector? I'm not seeing anything in the travel sector for myself to be too interested in. Let's go to the energy sector. OKLO, SMR, NNE, LEU. Where's LEU? I don't have LEU on my watch list. It should be on my watch list. LEU. And I'll just drag it up there to the energy part. LEU potentially. Ooh, okay, LEU, I see you. Is that an all-time high for that bad boy? Of course, my chart. Oh, not even close. Not even close. All right. Those are potentially like pre-split numbers and all kinds of crazy numbers anyways. But LEU, keeping an eye on this one. I'm pretty sure this is an energy Trump name, so for sure day 1 Friday, day 2 today, potential day 3 getting a blast out above what is that level? 119.50. So for sure, keep this one on the watch list. If it's finding buying above 119.50, I think it's a no-brainer long on this bad boy. Also, good thing that I remember that name. OKLO always on my watch list. I'm not too worried about adding that. Uber and Lyft. Uber has now like what the potentially a mean reversion setup coming into play. Uber is also being invested through Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman is looking to dump a good amount of money into Uber, or he said he has already, and declared a good amount of position size in Uber. Even if you do short Uber, keep in mind you're only getting potentially a move back into $70 and not much room to the downside. You know, Uber, I'm not saying short for a big move down. I'm only saying short for a quick mean reversion because it's too far too quick, right? This move is just kind of insane. It's only 10% away from its 5-day moving average though, so keep that in mind. It's only 10% away from its 5-day moving average. I think it's still got a little bit more room. If it goes into $80 tomorrow right off the open, let's say it's opening into $76, $77 tomorrow, and it opens up above 80, or sorry, it opens and it runs into 80 or higher than 80. That's a very good mean reversion short back into $76, which is today's low. If I get to short $80, $81 and get a move into $76, I want to be ready to partake in some sort of a capitulatory intraday short opportunity. But that doesn't mean that it's blowing up the long thesis for the swing traders, for the investors, and so on. So when I say things like I'm looking short, I just want you guys to keep that in the back of your head. LYFT having a nice daily chart breakout along with Uber at the moment. IWM having a little bit of a pullback. GM, Ford, some of the tariff names that were previously on my watch list, but I'm not too really interested to trade GM or Ford. EWW, this is your Mexico ETF. As long as you have good news on the Mexican ETF, I think you can look for a blast off long above 51, but until then looks like we're just kind of struggling over in this area. Not something to keep on my watch list anyways. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the stream for tonight. I thought the stream would go much less time, or you know, it wouldn't be as long. It's almost an hour long, the stream, even though I didn't have my own stocks to talk about. So hey, I'm glad that I was able to fill in the time. Now I get to go make some food. Make some food, and since I didn't trade today, I don't have to stay up so stupid long at night and actually get some good rest in and be ready for tomorrow. So I wish you guys a profitable day tomorrow. I'll quickly show you the IPO calendar, which is dead at the moment. You do have a big IPO on the 13th of February, so that's a huge one over there. $1 billion IPO, and a couple others decently sized IPOs, 100 million, 400 million, or let's just say a $500 million, and then also another 200 million IPO coming out on the 14th of February. So very excited to see what these companies are. Stay tuned for those dates. I think tomorrow, actually, tomorrow is 11th, so 12th, on the 12th we'll talk about sale, and on the 13th we'll talk about the stocks that are IPOing on the 14th. And the econ calendar looks pretty dead to me. We do have Fed Powell at 10 o'clock. Okay, that's not dead at all. High volatility expected. 3-star rating event. 3-star rating event. So make sure you're staying tuned, making sure that you're paying attention to what Fed Powell is talking about at 10 o'clock. Very much expecting the market to move around based on those comments, especially if it's related to inflation or the market in general. You also got the 3-year bond auction note at 1 o'clock. You then got another Fed member just shortly before the market closes, and another Fed member shortly before the market closes. So not really big econ data, but you got Fed members talking throughout the day, which could move the market one way or the other. So be careful of that. And on that note, I get to call the stream the end. If you are interested in checking out some of the tools that you got to see on stream today, such as Benzinga Pro, and get 10% off, make sure to go check the link below in the description for the Linktree page. Check out the Linktree page and check out my affiliate sponsors to get discounts on the tools and software that I use daily to day trade. I wish you guys a great night. TraderPrad out. Oh, Barky, have you gone over A-Lab by any chance? Yes, I did. I don't know why it got sold off, but I am interested to look for a long on that one on a dip buy. So if the stock actually continues to hold some of the ranges that it has already established, like today's low, last week's low, I'll be looking to see if there's any dip long opportunities. All right, on that note, I'm actually done. Time to roll in the outro. Where's the outro? Peace. Pretty good day on themselves today, so pretty good moves across the board. Or tech basket get destroyed. Get ready for trade off of. Get ready for the watch list for tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm gonna bring in my big screen over here. Back to another brand new week of After the After Hours with your host TraderPrad. I'm doing great. Hopefully you guys are joining me on that great side. Markets are moving around. Might just be a risk on type of day, so let's see what happens. 8 o'clock tomorrow. As you guys know, we do the stream Monday to Thursday, 8 p.m. Shout out to my affiliate sponsors, Benzinga, Trade Ideas, the #1 scanner to go to, Trader Sync, promo code down below, promo code PRAD15 to get 15% off. I will catch you guys tomorrow, 8 o'clock, same time, same place. Until then, TraderPrad out. Adios.